Hello there. So I woke up this morning to my first YouTube community guidelines strike for a edited comedy highlight clips reel that I put online, and all the videos that I've taken the clips from, all the streams are still up on YouTube, so it makes no fucking sense in that way, obviously. But it was a strike for hate speech, and they say it's like a warning strike, and if you get a second strike then you can't upload for a week or something. Yeah, but apparently I can upload, but they've just deleted the video, so I've just re-uploaded it on BitChute. YouTube staff, notoriously far left activists and extremists. BitChute is a free speech uploading site, and so is Rumble. I've yet to have any problems with them for any kind of content stuff. So I think the clip that tipped it off was a clip from Regional Variations, because they're very free speech in what they say, and they say all the taboo words. They say it in jest, and they obviously context is important, and they don't use the words in the context that it would be some sort of insult or attack or anything. It's pretty much an exercise of taboo words and free speech, to be honest, because the platform is so restrictive and overly censored because of Susan Wojcicki, or Wojcicki, however you say it, and whoever runs it. They are notoriously anti-freedom and illiberal, as expected. So, you know, you could sleepwalk into this stuff no matter what you post. As I've said before, hate speech doesn't exist. It is indefinable and created by authoritarians such as the far left, and in fact the far right in some places, mainly the far left, to be honest. And it eventually boils down into anti-governmental speech, as you can see happening in Venezuela. You know, hate speech is now just something where you can mildly criticize the government and they'll arrest you and take you away, put you in jail or a camp or something. That's the end goal of hate speech laws. And you can't have hate speech. Hate speech doesn't exist, because the whole point of free speech, the whole way that free speech is freedom of speech in the first place, is that you're purposefully defending speech that you disagree with, and the worst kinds of speech, in order for all kinds of speech to be free, and nobody to be deplatformed or censored or jailed for having an opinion or saying something that's taboo. I've run on the idiots on the left will always come out with this stupid line that doesn't make any sense, which is freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequences. Yeah, the only consequences that there can be for speech, or speech you disagree with, or speech that you don't like, is your own speech. So the only thing you combat speech with in a free society is your speech. Using legal consequences or rule-based consequences or deplatforming consequences is wrong, like morally abhorrent for speech. That is the authoritarian way of doing things. If you do that, then you are illiberal and you're controlling speech, so you're doing the opposite of free speech if you do that. So when people hear speech they dislike, they tend to get offended. If they're weak-willed and have low mental strength, low strength of character, low resilience, no mental fortitude, then people like that will get triggered or offended by speech that they disagree with or don't like. And that is evil. I think that is morally wrong. That is that's how you become an authoritarian. The desire to control other people instead of controlling yourself, the attempt to control other people's behavior That's wrong. That shouldn't happen. And this makes you an authoritarian to start with if you start doing shit like that. There's very few caveats in free speech. Most would say that the only real caveat in free speech is direct, credible incitement to violence. Like, you say you're gonna kill someone or hurt someone or harm someone, and it's like a credible threat. Like it seems from all available information that the person saying this say that they're actually going to carry out violence or going to harm someone, or they're asking someone directly to carry out violence. And when I say violence, words are not violence, words are never violence. Violence is physical. That's the only real caveat. Some people have said, I think, slander. And some people have mentioned one other thing which it doesn't come to mind at the moment, but to me, you know, those don't really matter. It is only credible threats of violence to be carried out on someone. That's the only real caveat in free speech. Apart from that, to me, there are no other caveats, because I'm pretty much a free speech absolutist, and you should be, because that is what freedom of speech is. To actually have freedom of speech at all, you have to be, with that one exception, pretty much a free speech absolutist, because that is the freedom of speech. Once you add a caveat to freedom of speech, it's not free anymore, and instantly toes the line into being the complete opposite, which is controlled speech or constrained speech. That's the opposite of free speech, and the moment you disallow a word or you ban someone for saying something you disagree with, then, you know, authoritarian, that's evil. What you should be doing is, if you see some speech you dislike, you confront that speech with your own speech. You combat that by speaking back to it. You don't use rules, you don't use like the police or the government or higher authorities to come and get someone or remove them or zip their mouths shut or shut them up or take away the place where they're talking, or like if they're out in public saying a word, definitely don't want someone to be arrested out in public for saying words or speaking or using some sort of authority to come and get those people or tell them to be quiet. I mean, in past, in jest, like sort of semi-jokingly, I've said to people like, shut up. That was like, when I was a teenager, I think I said shut up quite a lot. I think I've stopped using that, or I've used that phrase less and less in modern days, unless I'm just joking, because that is, you are literally saying, you know, stop talking, or you can't talk about this, or you can't joke about that. And you can talk about this, and you can joke about that. So what you shouldn't be saying is shut up. What you should be saying is, here's why I disagree with your idea set. I think your ideas are wrong. I don't think what you're doing will work, and here's why. And like, I dislike what you're saying, and here's why. Like, lay it out to the person who you disagree with. If you're going to get angry with what they're saying, then engage them in conversation. Talk to them about why. And that's the most you can do, really. You shouldn't do anything more than that, because, you know, as you get into the territory of attempting to control the behaviour of other people, you just slipped into that line of being illiberal and anti-freedom and, well, everything I'm against, basically. And that's what YouTube are and what YouTube do, because they are, as we have learned over the past 7 years, they have a very far left bias, and they do try to censor people and ban people based on what they say, and they use these horrible anti-freedom words like safety. Like, we're keeping you safe from words on the internet. It's like, you don't need to be kept safe from anything in life. You certainly don't need to be kept safe from words on the internet, because that is not harm, it's not violence, it cannot ever be those things. It's absolutely impossible, and it makes no sense. There's my little vlog on my first community guidelines strike from the commies over at YouTube and their authoritarian terms of service. A lot of websites have this. Luckily, minds.com isn't one of them, so go over there. BitChute isn't bad for a video site, so go over there. Other than that, a lot of these websites don't get it yet. They have not figured out free speech. Even Elon Musk at the moment, for all his good in trying to buy Twitter to make it a free speech site, he hasn't even quite figured out what free speech is, I've noticed. He keeps bowing to statism and saying, oh, well, if it's in the law, well, he's basically saying we bow down to, from what I can work out, American law on Twitter. And you can't really bow down to law when you've got an authoritarian government, as like most of the world is at the moment after March 2020. You know, statism won't give you freedom, not at all. I mean, that's where a lot of the control comes from, to be fair. And, you know, even though I think the American Supreme Court, they said explicitly that hate speech could not be a thing and you can't make any decisions based on it, the government itself is still pushing hate speech, and a lot of countries are still coming out with their own hate speech laws. These things are just ways for the government to keep power and jail you for criticising them. That's what they are. That's what they boil down to in the end. That's what it evolves into after you've begun making your hate speech laws and rules. I'll bring this vlog to a close. You can catch that clips video over on my BitChute. Catch you all later.